Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another Cyberverse review. And today we're taking a look at Warrior Class Jetfire with his Sky Surge action. I got this figure off of eBay. Apparently, this wave is starting to show up in Targets around the country. So, yeah. I've always been a fan of Jetfire. Really since I got back into collecting, and a lot of that has to do with the history of the character and the toy, the fact that it was from Macross and stuff like that. So it is nice to see that we are getting a little bit of a Jetfire revival this year with this figure, the Commander class figure from Surge, and the previously released Spark Armor figure. If you're familiar with Cyberverse, you know there's always a little bit of a gimmick to the figures, and that's what we have here with Jetfire. We have his Sky Surge gimmick, and what's great is you're going to take his boosters, flip them over, and basically swing them into position. There are these gray tabs right there that when you bring it down and forward, get it up. Oh, there you go. They'll spring out. Sometimes you can get them to do it at the same time. Sometimes they do it just once. But I think that's kind of cool, especially if you know the history of these boosters and you know how they're, little missile packs and what have you. And it'll just fold back up and peg into the back section there. Other than that, Jetfire is basically white. This is a stylized version of the G1 animation model. The whole story's there. We won't have to get into them. And I kind of dig it. One thing I do have to note is the plastic feels very thin, and the ball joints are just this side of tight, where if they were a little looser, this would be a floppy mess. You have ball joints in the shoulders, swivel hinge at the elbow, ball joints in the hips, and you do have a nice 90-degree bend at the knee. The head kit is also on a swivel, and that's all about it can do. So it's actually fairly articulated for a Cyberverse figure. Let's get right into the transformation. Go ahead, straighten the arms out. At first, the transformation might seem a little fiddly, but at the end, everything does come together. First thing you want to do is come in and lift out this chest section. And when you're going from vehicle into robot mode, you want to make sure not to fold the nose cone flush like that, but you want to give it a little lip, because that's actually how it's going to hook in. But this whole section will flip up, and you'll flip out the nose cone, and that will snap into place just like so. And then what you want to do is come around the back of the figure and rotate it around. So now the boosters are facing towards the head, and you do have to lift up that little front section for clearance. Coming back around to the front of the figure, come inside here, push the head down so it'll fold up. Now the instructions tell you to peg the legs together. They don't really stay, so just skip that part and then go ahead and fold this hip section all the way up, all the way over. So basically, there are slots right here on this back section that'll peg into posts in the knee, and doing so will allow you to bring get them all pegged in, and you'll end up pegging the legs together anyway, just through the natural order. Make sure you do fold that hip section, waist section up, so that little hollow bit is facing directly towards the head. Rotate the figure around so that the heels are facing towards you. Go ahead and fold them up. They'll form thrusters. Swing the arms down, and they'll sort of peg in onto these little raised sections here in the back. Flip the whole thing over, and then bring this section down, and it will peg in on that little area right there. And for better or worse, there's Jetfire in its vehicle mode. Again, a very nice, stylized, modern take on the classic G1 animation model. A little Macross, a little Fluoro Dairy. I think it's really cool. But again, very thin plastic, very hollow. But you know what? At least the gimmick worked without too much aggravation and strife. So we'll pause, and I'll be back with my final thoughts. You know, I was having a discussion on Twitter the other night with someone about the Cyberverse line and how there's not a lot of interest in it. And I feel 10 years down the road, people are going to be looking for these Cyberverse figures and driving up the demand and price on them because they're looking to complete collections. And I think Jetfire is going to be one of those figures that people are going to overlook just because of the Cyberverse nature. Yes, it's on the hollow side. Yes, the plastic is a little thin. But you actually have a very nice G1-inspired, articulated figure with a gimmick that really isn't that intrusive. I like it. The jet is very swooshable. And I think it's worth a place in your collection. But I know I'm in the minority because I tend to enjoy the Cyberverse figures. Now, don't hold me to this, but I think there might be a one-step changer coming. So at least in Cyberverse, you'll have 3 different options as to how you want to Jetfire yourself up. But this is definitely worth a recommendation in my book. This is your old pal Chuck for Jetfire. We will see you next time.